You're listening to TrawlCast.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to TrawlCast for episode number 33. I'm Seth McClellan.
I'm Sean Matthews.
This week, we have an awesome episode lined up, but before we get into that, we've got some cool stuff to talk about. Sean, what's on deck this week?
So some of the housekeeping, ladies and gentlemen, this week, we've already talked about it once, but July 9th, Aura. Tickets are still available right now. $12 in advance, 15-day of the show. The show starts at 9 p.m. We're super excited about it. If you're interested in going to see Trawl, Murcielago, and Ultra Major, all you got to do is go to auramain.com, go to their event section, and there's a thing that says buy tickets. We want to get a lot of people there. We want to have some fun, and we just want to play music for you guys. So come on out. We're going to have a blast. auramain.com is the website to go get tickets for Murcielago, Ultra Major, and Trawl.
It's going to be a blast. This is our first show back since, before the pandemic. It is the first show with our new guitar player, Justin. It is the first show since we released our EP, Shark Pinata. There's so many firsts going on here. We're just really, really excited. Hope you can join us and come out and celebrate with us. And it's going to be a blast.
So that's the first bit of housekeeping. The second bit is something we just recently announced. We have been working with this awesome company called Yes Brewing out of Westbrook, Maine, to work with them and try to spread their name and spread our name through beer, because we all like beer. It tastes good and makes us happy. So we worked with Yes Brewing, and we got a special limited run Trawl labeled beers. It's a mixed berry sour, and we're having an event on July 17th. It's a Saturday. It's actually the same day as the Drivetrain, Signal the Noise, and Twin Grizzly show at Aura. But the best part of this is it's from 12 to 5, and it's free at Yes Brewing on 609 Main Street, Westbrook, Maine. We've been talking with them a bunch. We're super big fans of their beers. I know I kind of brought it in to a couple practices. I brought the Fear Not jalapeno beer. It's not spicy. It just tastes like jalapenos. I have to say that every time. And most of the guys weren't really into it. I love it. But Yes Brewing is very well known for their parfaits and their sours. And I know just recently they did a key lime parfait. It's really good. So if you like sours, if you like beer, come on out. We're also going to be joined by a really cool and exciting food truck. It's Great Wave Sushi. They'll be there serving up some fine sushi meals for you. We're really excited. I know I'm really excited. I don't know about the rest of the guys. I know, Seth, you and I have talked, and you're not really a big sushi guy. So
I'm not a big sushi guy. I will promise I'll try it. But I'm really excited for this event and to play at the brewery outside for free for folks, and just the idea of having this cool private label beer with the Trawl shark on it is so exciting for me. I got to help design the label. This is kind of a dream come true for beer geek / just
music geek,
to be able to have our own private label beer is so cool. So
and all the guys at Yes Brewing have been super awesome to work with. And if you get a chance, go find them on Facebook, Instagram, all that stuff. Give them some love. They're a really cool company. I think, if I remember correctly, they're like the second smallest brewery in the state. So they're very small. They don't, they're not making billions of dollars like Anheuser-Busch or anybody else. They're just doing it for the love of beer, and they make really good beers. I know right now y'all can't see this, but I am currently drinking their Black Raspberry Parfait.
It's a great one.
Yeah, and it's awesome. I love it. So I'm going to take a sip of it right now. There's
Nice.
some ASMR for the fans,
Perfect.
But yeah, we're super excited about this opportunity to release a beer with our shark logo on it. And we want you guys to come out and be with us and have fun with us. So July 17th, it's a Saturday. It starts at noon and ends at 5 p.m. Just come on out. We're going to be blasting some tunes there. So let's have some fun. Enjoy some good beer, some good music, and some good sushi. That being said, that's all the housekeeping that I know we have. So, Seth, who do we have on the show this week?
So this week we were super excited to have the band Thems That Wait on the podcast. They are a Maine metal stoner rock band. Their sound has been compared to bands like Black Sabbath, Clutch, Caius. Really cool guys. Craig Garland on guitar and vocals, Matt Patterson on bass, and Brendan Clements on drums joined us. We talked a lot about their newest album, Stonework, which came out during the pandemic, actually on 4/20 last year.
Mm-hmm. This is kind of a roundabout or a full circle kind of scenario, because back on April 24th of last year, we did the episode Until Then We Wait, and it was an album review of Thems That Wait, Stonework. So this is really cool to have that. You know, we did that back on episode number 5. It was really cool to have these guys on. They're super nice guys, and they write some pretty cool, riffage.
Yeah, and so when we talked, they were just about to announce a show, but they hadn't actually announced it yet. But they've since announced 2 shows, and I wanted to make sure I highlighted them because I wanted to make sure you guys know where you can see them. So Saturday, July 31st, Thems That Wait will be at O'Donoghue's Pub in Brunswick with the band Mound. I know that they were telling us about that show, but they couldn't announce it at the time because they're like, we're still not sure. But that's a go. Yeah. It's on the books. It's out there. Find the event. Saturday,
July 31st. It's
set
in stone, damn it.
Set in stone. And then they just actually announced this week, Saturday, August 28th, they're going to be back at Sun Tiki in Portland with a
great venue.
Yeah. I love Sun Tiki. I hope we get to go back there. It's a really cool venue. So they're going to be playing there Saturday, August 28th with this band called V Queen. They're actually from San Francisco. It looks like they're a female trio.
So that's some of the cool announcements these guys have had in the recent, few days and whatnot. We're really happy that we had these guys on. They're really nice guys, and we had a blast talking with them. And let's have a little snippet here of Sleepy Hollow, the first track off the EP Stonework that they released last year. So here's a little taste of Thems That Wait.
Really psyched to have you guys on, and thank you guys very much for doing this.
Thank you for inviting us. Appreciate having us on. I'm a fan of the podcast and stoked for you guys with the EP. It's awesome.
Thank you so much.
And
Thanks.
And the show, man. You guys are playing Aura, right? With
Congrats,
Marcialago.
man. That's awesome.
Yes.
Yeah, that's cool.
Dude,
That's a
fucking
nice
awesome.
stage.
We're so
Never played
psyched to
there.
do that. Like, you guys know, like, every
Yeah.
once in a blue moon, you know, you play a lot of gigs, and then every once in a blue moon, you get something like super cool and big like that, and it's just like, you know, we're psyched for the challenge and to, you know, practice our asses off so we hopefully don't suck for it, and so yeah, I thought it would be cool to start with, you know, a little bit about how you guys kind of met and the story of like how you guys formed this mysterious beast that is Thems That Wait.
Me and Matt are the two old men in the band, but we go way back. We've known each other since the third grade. I remember I was in the next classroom over, and Matt got kicked out of class. What did you do? Throw a desk, man? Like what the hell
Yeah, I threw a
happened?
desk at the teacher. I was not a good kid. I was not a good
So,
child.
and I did
I
not know.
attempted to. I don't like it. It sounds better when I say it, probably. Than, yeah.
And I did not know Matt, but that was my introduction to Matt. And then lo and behold, the next year, we're in the same class together. I think it was third grade. And dude, we hit it off. We used to, I mean, if you weren't aware, Matt's a hell of an artist. Designed our first EP and our T-shirts and whatnot. But we used to draw Charlie Brown Peanuts cartoons because we're that old. It was the 80s.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it went on from there. Yeah, we played sports together and loved professional wrestling and all the hijinks until we became teenagers. And then I started playing guitar, I think in the early 90s, 91 or so. And then Matt started playing bass. And I was fortunate enough that my family was really supportive. My parents never told me to turn down, which I think that's an important part of the story. I think that's why we're so fucking loud.
Yeah.
But basically we had gear, we had guitars and amps, and then, you know, next thing you know, we had a band going, and Matt joined the fold on bass, and we had this amazing drummer. His name's Bob Cody, who's still at it. And I should back way up. This is in northern Maine. This is in Aroostook County. So actually, I have to ask you guys: have you guys ever been that far north? Have you been in Aroostook County?
I have a couple times with work. I got to go up there maybe 3 or 4 years ago and stayed in Sanagat on Long Lake for a couple days. It's beautiful up there. I love it, and I feel like it's a whole different Maine. Really, it's like the people are, I don't know. In my opinion, like, you know, from being from like central Maine and then moving down to southern Maine, like it just seems like a little kinder, a little bit more like people are pretty cool up there.
Yeah, I when I was in high school, I was on the wrestling team, and we had to go to, for some reason, we had to go to Fort Kent once a year to do a wrestling tournament. So spending a weekend up in Fort Kent, and it's like Seth, you were saying, it's basically they're salt of the earth kind of people. They don't have a lot to do, so they just kind of do what they have to enjoy themselves. And yeah, moving down here is a totally different animal. But I mean, I've lived down here almost all of my life, so yeah. I've visited.
Well, Craig's the same way, but I literally grew up with my family. Like, you go up like a quarter of a mile, there's my aunt's house, and then there's my grandmother's sister's farm, then there's my other grandmother's sister's farm, then there's my grandmother's house, and then there's an aunt's house. So there was like a horse farm, and I grew up going to all these farms and doing chores, and and getting out as fast as possible.
Yeah, so it really was, and to be specific, we grew up in Mapleton, which is right outside of Presque Isle, which is, if you're a Mainer, you tend to talk in time, not miles, so it's about 5.5 hour drive from the Portland area. About 45 minutes north on Route 1 once you get off the Holton exit. So yeah, there's not much to do up there, and I think that shaped us. I mean, like Matt said, I grew up on family land, no visible neighbors, was able to be loud and play heavy music, you know, and parents never told us to turn down. One of my favorite stories is this is the 80s, so we all had water beds, and my dad he'd go upstairs while we were practicing and fall asleep and in his waterbed. And he said like the vibrations of the bass would like, put him to sleep. Well, that just pissed me off. So I was like, oh, well, we got to be the heaviest band ever. so we're gonna be louder. We're gonna play heavier. And if we could knock the knickknacks off the shelf, Mom's precious knickknacks, then we knew we were onto something. We had written a sick riff. But so yeah, here we are with all this angst and volume and a group of talented guys and nowhere to fucking play. Me and Matt were talking about this today. It was so different than our experiences down here in Southern Maine, where there's places to play, and I feel like the other bands are helping you. But up north, there's literally nowhere to play, so you're fighting for the same performance, which would be like what, Matt? Like at a party or
yeah. I played a bunch of parties with like other bands up there, like just a couple other friends and whatnot, like basically generator parties in the pits in the woods. It's basically the same idea. That's the only place we could play.
Right. And we were fortunate. I think we were the first band to play a bar that's no longer around, but it was called Wizards. And I believe we were the first band to play there. And
Nice.
we played a bunch of covers and some of our originals. And I remember it went well. But the owner was like, hey, learn more classic rock and you can come back. And then we just went brrr and tuned our guitar even lower. More heavy shit. This was at that point we're in the mid 90s. So then basically after school I moved to the Southern Maine area. Matt stayed up there, and I bounced around, lived out of state for a while, lived in the Bangor area for a while, played in the death metal band for a while. I was thinking about that today. I don't know how I played that fast, but it was fun. And there was a cool little scene up there. You guys have obviously heard of the Cave.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
you guys opened for 6 Feet Under.
Yeah, I got to open for 6 Feet Under and party with Chris Barnes. Yeah, yeah, good times. And but basically ended up back in the Portland area. And I think didn't you you went to school for a while in Bangor, right, Matt?
I went for school for a little bit for like audio engineering for like a semester or so, but I didn't really care for I went to NESCOM. I didn't care for it all that much because I didn't like all the other classes. I only wanted to do the audio engineering, so I just got it skipped out half the time on all the rest of the stuff, which wasn't good. So I just gave up on that, and then I ended up coming down here not too long after that. I don't think, like maybe a few more years.
Yeah, and so after being a band together in high school as teenagers, I mean, fast forward to, I want to say 2010-ish, I think Matt came back to the Portland area. We ended up living together. And at that point, we wrote the majority of our first EP. It's crazy to think about that. I think Fiction came out in 2019, but it was actually, most of that material was written in 2010. We were listening to a lot of Clutch, Sabbath, of course, that type of stuff.
Nice.
And then Matt moved to New Hampshire for a job.
North Carolina, actually.
Yep. And I did an album called Mondo Vessel, which is pretty cool. It's all main artists put together by Chris Lavasser, who actually took the photo for our album Stonework. A really talented guy, but he pulled all these main artists together. I think everyone should check it out. Mondo Vessel, it's really cool. And we did a lot of videos for it.
That's cool. I didn't know about that. I'm gonna have to check that out.
And if you do a little digging, I think you'll be surprised on some of the names that you'll see and what they went on to do.
Nice.
So I did that for a while. For about 10 years, I've been in a band where half the members are, I guess you consider disabled. It's called the Clearwater Benders. And then I want to say 2018-ish, Matt, you moved back from North Carolina, correct?
It was actually like 2015 or so, I think. I think it was around 2015 that I moved back. And then there was a few years because I lived in Portland for a little while. It's so gosh damn expensive. I moved like directly out and then here.
Yeah.
And I've lived here for like at least 6 years. So I think I'm not always good with time. because it doesn't really matter unless you have to go like work or something. But I think it was like 2015, and then I don't know. I think it was not long after that. Like, you were still trying to find a band. Craig had played with a couple like other side projects that already had like full bands, and then we kept looking on Craigslist, and before we were able to find Brandon. And I remember we tried like a bunch of different dudes, and we went to this one drummer's house, and we went in it was his basement, but like his 2-year-old was running around, all that. I mean, it was fine, it was cool, but we get down there and he like plays like a beat for half the first song, and then sits there, his arms crossed, and like watches us play. And then we just kept playing, because we're like, well, we want to play loud. He was letting us play loud, so we just kept playing. And then like we asked him a little while, it was like, do you want to play, or do you want to play something different? Like, I think we were just playing Sabbath tunes, I think. And he's like, no, man, it's been a long time. I'm just enjoying watching you play. And like, that's kind of how it goes, trying to find a drummer, I guess.
Well, yeah, so in comes Brandon. We're constantly looking for someone to play drums on these tunes. And so we do the Craigslist thing, so not awkward. Hey, I'm Craig from Craigslist. but we I don't know, man. We show up to Brandon's house after answering the ad, and I don't know, Brandon, you want to talk about what it was like meeting us two old dudes? Yeah.
No, so my story goes completely different, and I'll keep it short due to time. But I'm originally from Texas, and I moved here with my wife, who is from Herman near Bangor, in 2014. I tried out for bands forever. I lived in the Austin area in Texas, so I was always playing music. I'm primarily a guitar player, but I played drums off and on for about 15 years. So then I move here, I form a band that I play guitar in, and I'm still like, well, I've got to kill some time, and I like playing music. So look on Craigslist, find a band that needs a drummer. Reach out to this guy, they show up, we play some tunes. And honestly, it's really akin to our writing style, the way that it kind of went, because we played together for a few hours, and, as Craig had mentioned, they had most of this material written in like 2010, 2011, and we kind of roughed out 2 or 3 songs right then based on that material.
Nice.
And
I think we sent you a couple demos, didn't we, to play along with? So you already had like...
Yeah, I think originally Hawkmoth wasn't named Hawkmoth. It was named something else off of our first EP. And I'd worked on that. I'd worked on Nova, I believe, but I don't know if you know. I don't even know if it was called Nova at the time.
I don't remember. Hawkmoth definitely had a different working title.
Yeah,
I don't
Hawkmoth had a
remember
different name for it.
Hawkmoth was called The Room, and
right.
Yes.
I changed it at the time. I didn't have lyrics for it, but also that was that movie The Disaster Artist? Have you guys seen that? Wasn't that the name of his movie?
I think I've ever seen it.
Yeah, but you didn't want somebody to get confused with that movie, The Room or whatever.
Yeah, and then exactly. So initially it was called initially it was called The Room, and I cannot remember what Nova was called.
But we riffed on a few songs, and here we are, minus a year of not playing due to the pandemic. I don't know about you guys. We didn't see each other. Today was the first day we practiced since the pandemic started.
Yeah.
The last place we played was Port City Music Hall before it closed down. So it's been a while.
With Finn Grizzly and Drive Train and all that. That was a blast. Yeah.
Wow.
What about you guys? Have you played it all?
So I'll say we've been practicing pretty, not frequently. We've been on and off here and there. It kind of went on ebbs and flows based on really the pandemic and our comfortability with being in a room, sweating, breathing heavily with other guys that you don't know where they've been and stuff like that. But we've kind of been practicing on and off. Like, we've taken some pretty good chunks of time off. I think we had a couple months off at the beginning of this year, and then jumped back in to finish the recording. But I mean, we've been on and off, practicing here and there.
Craig and Brandon's work just went kind of crazy because of the pandemic, because of what they do. It just like Brandon does like fire safety for hospital stuff, so his work just changed drastically, and Craig does like social work, and I just switch around from any IT job that'll have me short term, or I work the paper now. So it doesn't really matter for me. But like, yeah, it kind of impacted everybody's. Like Brandon's been like always on the road and coming back. Sometimes it's hard to schedule stuff too. So
Yeah.
Even with the
we just kind of chilled for a while, basically through the whole thing. Let it
Right.
blow.
With the pandemic, I had to travel the entire time, so that was.
I didn't really miss any work via the pandemic. I mean, my previous job, I was a warehouse manager, technician for a cable company, and then found a new job as a warehouse manager for a flooring company. And I didn't really miss any work. I just have been working nonstop.
Yeah, I got lucky because I got into what I do now. That I basically, like, as the pandemic was starting, I started this, and it was work from home right from the start because of it. And
Nice.
yeah, so it's worked out well for me. I'm sitting in my office where I do everything. So
I would say Seth, he
here.
kind of,
Yeah.
yeah.
So I've been working at home and since the start of the pandemic too. I work for an insurance agency doing marketing, and they basically said, "Yeah, guys, go ahead and all 15 of us go ahead and work from home." And they basically decided like we're going to continue to do that. Like I don't think we're probably going to end up going back. We found that it works pretty well, so they're like, "Yeah, you can stay working at home." So I'm pretty psyched about that.
I don't think we'll go back to like the full thing. I think it's going to be a partial, like if you need to do something, feel free to come in. If you don't need to, don't worry about it. If you like coming in, feel free. Some people want to get away from their kids and stuff. I don't have any, so I'll stay here and like have Minecraft on pause in the other room for my lunch break. Like, no problem.
What's up, guys? This is Will with Twin Grizzly, and you're getting nuts with TrawlCast.
Having the pandemic off, have you guys had time to kind of think back on some of your favorite shows? Like, you guys each have a favorite show that you've played?
Yeah, mine specifically is we played. Gino's used to host local wrestling shows like once every other month or so, or like every 3 months. Like they'd have them a few times a year anyway. But they'd have a band that would play like start, intermission, and finish, or start and intermission, or whatever. And we did that.
Nice.
And it's always a cool crowd. And Craig and I are big wrestling fans. And like the ring, I mean, everybody here knows how Gino's is situated. That's not
right. Yeah.
So you got to fit a ring for wrestling down on that floor. So the ring is directly butted up to the stage, and like they had to raise one side of it to sit on the lowest step right before you hit the floor.
Yeah.
And you like maybe 50, like people show up for it too. Because
Nice.
Gino's can be hit or miss depending on the night, and people always show up for that, regardless of who the band is. It was fun.
I got lucky enough to play one of those, and a friend of my other band, Devil's Night Out.
Yeah,
he was one of the managers of a wrestler, and he was telling me like before, they were gonna have us get involved in the match and like grab the guy that was the bad guy at the end and start like beating him up with guitars and stuff. But if something happened and we couldn't do it, but during the performance, the guy come up to me, like we were just about to start, and he goes, "You can get on the ring." And I climbed right up on the turnbuckles. Like I was, halfway up, and I was screaming my head off. And I was like, "This is awesome." It's
a totally fun thing to like have right there in front of you. Like it's kind of weird because it puts the people a little further back, but you have like this prop to play with in front of you, depending on what you're doing, which is kind of cool. I don't know. It's just
it was fantastic. It was fantastic because you had just this giant structure in front of you, and like we got to hang out on the stage, and like we were just sitting there like drinking beers, watching guys wrestle, and we're like, this is awesome. And there's people were just losing their minds, and then we'd play, and they just kept losing their minds, and it was fun. And it was probably one of my favorite things that I've done for a show that was not necessarily a standard show. And I would absolutely do it again, especially with Trawl. I think Trawl would have some fun with that.
Trawl would have fun with
that. Place
that.
is incredible.
Yeah, anything like upbeat that gets people going on like that, like those crowds love that shit. Yeah, so anything like that.
Nice.
Shout out to Cousin Larry that booked us. It's Cousin Larry's group, the NAWA. It was awesome. And then Michael Cox was there taking pictures. We know him from all the shows, so it was a great time. I love that pick.
I would have to say in terms of the overall, well, the experience wasn't fantastic because I actually got food poisoning potentially at the venue.
Oh no.
The press room in Portsmouth.
Cool.
First off, we got there first because, of course, it were those people were like, "We're playing a show. Let's get there 9 hours early." But the venue decides we can only use one drum set, and they let me use my Ludwig, and that was the entire kit for the entire night, except for Scissor Fight, who obviously got to use their own kit. The sound was great.
Yeah.
We got to use Scissor Fight. Or Matt got to use Scissor Fight's bassist, his fridge.
Oh yeah, I got to use Jarvis's fridge cab again,
Nice.
which was
Awesome.
cool. I
The
used
Ampeg.
yeah. I think I used Twin Grizzlies cab when we played Port City. Yeah, that's
So
always cool.
It's always nice when someone brings the fridge. It's just like it's unfuckwithable. So it's like
Yeah.
everyone can use the fridge.
Thank you for suffering lugging that thing for all of us.
You know, the venue was just incredible. The food potentially was great or terrible, depending on how you look at the night. And overall, just a really fun night. A lot of cool guys.
Yeah, Scissor Fight crowd is always awesome. Like they have some cool fans, and like their fans tend to they tend to like welcome pretty much anybody that Scissor Fight welcomes. So it's always like you're not really going to get shunned when you play with those guys because you're usually invited by those guys. So it's always a cool show. Yeah,
That's
Scissor Fight's definitely one of those bands that they put on what's the high energy shows. And they're sick. I mean, I absolutely love Scissor Fight. I've lived them for years. So that's awesome. That's great.
Nice.
Yeah, that press room show was pretty special. Also, we put out Fiction that weekend, so it was pretty awesome.
Nice.
Show. That's
You know,
right. How about that?
we had recorded Fiction, and we were looking to release it, and we didn't book a CD release show. And you know, we kept talking about it. Hey, you know, we really need to book a venue and do the CD release. And then we get offered that amazing show with Scissor Fight in New Hampshire, and we're like, let's just release it that weekend. And what else made that special is I absolutely loved that show. It was, like Brandon said, the sound was incredible. I remember telling the sound guy, I was like, I'm not used to hearing my vocals. Can you turn that off? It's fucking with me. You know what I mean? Turn it down.
Turn it down just a little bit. It's messed me up.
But great crowd, great show. And then the next night we played the Appahadian back in Portland. So we did two shows back to back to release Fiction.
Oh yeah, with that cool band from Nashville.
Right.
What was the name?
Friendship Commanders, a two-piece.
Yeah, she was cool.
Amazing band, and we played with
Another Trucker Rob show.
but yeah, Trucker Rob booked the show. That was a great show. And played with Vice Versa, which was, those guys were amazing. But yeah, that's a great pick. So but I gotta say, I think obviously probably the best show we've played was January 2020 at Port City. With Murcielago, who you guys are going to play with soon, correct?
Yeah. July 9th at Aura. We're opening up for those guys. I'm so excited. Like they're such an awesome band, and just really psyched to open up for those guys.
You guys are going to sound so huge. Like it's going to be the biggest sound. You know what I mean?
I'm really looking forward to that. We actually, when we had the Object guys on, they were talking about opening up for Queensryche there, and they said that was like the best sound that they've had to date is, you know, playing at Aura. So I'm psyched for that to hear Trawl with like killer sound. So yeah.
Well, we've been lucky enough to play there before for a benefit. Like Seth and I both we did a all night thing. Was it 2 or 3?
It was I think it was 2. All night thing 2. Okay. Yeah.
And that was cool. The only thing that was weird was you know, some bands you had one song. So you go up and everything's already set up there. You just had to like run on, like guitarists were dropping heads onto amps and plugging in. Like hopefully your tubes warmed up fast enough because you only had basically 5 to 6 minutes and you had to get up there and
it was tight. I played with a couple of different like musical groups that had come together to play one specific cover. And then this was when Fifth Freedom was together. So I did a couple songs with Fifth Freedom, and and Sean did 2 songs with DNO.
Just one.
Just one. So like, yeah,
Just one, yeah.
You get your literal 5 or 6 minutes and you're out of there. So it was quite the logistical challenge for sure. There was like 40 changeovers. But I'm psyched to play like a full set of originals. Actually, play our original music there because.
Oh, wait, we were doing originals? I thought we were just doing a bunch of covers.
But you guys are completely to cover band?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
No, dude, we're a Taylor Swift cover band. We keep telling people.
I keep forgetting. I'm so sorry.
Unfortunately, my pick, the Port City gig, was amazing, but they since closed. Which is a real bummer.
Huge loss.
Which I think someone mentioned earlier. Every once in a while, you get these amazing gigs. I remember when we got Port City, which the lineup was us, Drivetrain, Twin Grizzly, and Murcielago. And then Scissor Fight, pops into our story once again, and then crashed the end of the night and ended with a couple songs. It was just amazing.
It was awesome.
And we were,
Jarvis was playing between sets too, doing his solo bass stuff up on the second bar at Port City. That's always cool because I don't see him do that too much. So like right before the show and then during every intermission, Jarvis would be up there playing like at the first bar out at the main one, which was pretty cool. Yeah, but that was the last play. Yeah,
and it didn't feel like a local show. It was well organized. It was a solid lineup. Brandon got to be a part of the drum line. I know you guys talked about this on the Twin Grizzly podcast. But that was an amazing night, and
I think that's one for the books for sure that people are going to be talking about for a long time. I'm really bummed personally. I missed that show and I didn't go out to it because it's hard. It's one of those things where like in January, we're like, there'll be tons more opportunities to see all these bands together. And then not only do shows close down for the next year, plus that place actually closed. And Port City, I've played there 4 times over the years with my former projects, and it's such a great room. And it's one of my favorite rooms in Portland. So I was like so devastated when it closed. Yeah.
Me and Matt saw some amazing shows there. We saw Ice's second to last show ever with Cave In.
Wow.
And we saw High on Fire.
That's my favorite band too. So, and I've been trying for years to see him. And the drummer from ISIS is actually from Maine. I think he's from Brunswick area somewhere.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, he's from Maine. He used to be Danny Carey's Tool Tech. But yeah, that's my favorite band. I love that band. But we got to see them at Port City, Mastodon, High on Fire. I've seen so many bands there. I'm gonna miss that place a lot.
Mastodon during the Crack of Sky tour, which is like right before they broke. I mean, that album's amazing, but right after that, they were playing stadiums. But to see them at Port City,
they were too loud for Port City when they played there. When we saw them, they were just too loud for that venue. It was almost painful how loud they were.
I saw Godspeed You Black Emperor. That was incredible.
Oh my god, yeah.
That was an awesome show. They have like a bunch of actual projectors with an actual projectionist that's like licensed, and they're all old school. And it's just incredible. If you've never looked up or seen Godspeed You Black Emperor, I recommend it. And then I saw.
Did you see Between the Buried and Me there?
No, I saw Thank You Scientist, which is incredible. And then I also saw the
That's cool.
The Acacia Strain, there was as you can imagine, a giant pit, and they had to turn on the lights and wipe up all the blood off the floor with towels.
Wow.
It was a pretty ruthless moment.
Acacia Strain is a brutal show, man. That's a brutal show.
Honestly, the first time I set foot in Port City, I was like, this venue is too nice for rock shows. I mean, like it's it was really.
That's kind of the first impression because it is a really nice looking venue. Like I've always liked the look of it.
Yeah, it's a beautiful room.
I got to be the odd man out. I've never even set foot in there. I never went to a show there. I never played a show there. Yeah, honestly, I don't get to go out to too many shows, mostly because I do dad things or my work's got me working and I'm totally destroyed by the end of the day. So I just kind of pass out and forget about stuff a lot.
Yeah.
Well, I do. Arcadia is going in there. And hopefully they keep bands, which
that would be awesome. That would be.
I heard something maybe, but like I don't really keep up on it. Yeah.
Could you imagine like arcade games, beer, and live music.
I mean,
the place would be a nightmare. It'd be an
I'd be
absolute
down.
explosion all the time.
Oh. I'd be down all the time. Absolutely.
yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I've always wanted to play like a skate park. Like I know that's a random thing, but like we're just talking about like Arcadia would be a weird venue, but like the Geno's thing with the wrestling, I love stuff like that. Like I like playing weird places. I know it sounds odd, but it just you get a different crowd and you don't really know what to expect. And then I mean it could go bad, but a lot of the times it goes really well. So I mean like
well, a skate park would be cool. You'd have guys skating around you, dude, doing flips and all that stuff. I know it's completely what's the word I'm looking for?
Unconventional.
Unconventional and improbable. I'd love to do a show at like Beach Ridge Motor Speedway, like in the middle of the infield with cars just whipping around you. Like I think that would be cool, like a racetrack where you're in the middle on a stage blasting music and then cars are just whipping around you.
I'm sorry because I have a very small story to this, Sean. When I lived in Dallas, we got invited to the Texas Motor Speedway, like in between Fort Worth and whatever. I was in a terrible pop punk band. This was like 2005. I was the drummer. We basically were Blink-182, but absolute garbage. And next door to that, there used to be a fun park that had go-kart racing, and we got to do the exact same on a mini scale. So
that's
we
cool.
Oh,
nice.
But see, people could probably hear you at that point. With the race cars ripping around, you probably are looking at 200 decibels just from them, and you're trying to match or beat them so people can hear you.
See, you reminded me of two memories. So Loki back in the day we played at a motocross track, and there was racing going on the whole time, and there was a big stage in the middle. And
I remember that.
So I've told this story to Sean a couple times, but so the whole thing was sponsored by this energy drink, and for whatever reason,
of course it was
all day long there was no water anywhere. Yeah. There was no water to be had anywhere, but all there was energy drinks. So there was ice cold energy drinks everywhere, but zero water. So I think I drank 10 friggin' energy drinks, and I felt like I was gonna die. But it was so hot; it was 100-degree day. So you had no choice. You're landlocked in the middle of this freaking motocross track, and literally you can't get out because people are racing, and it was crazy. So, but it was
dude, have you been to
we literally live in idiocracy. I'm telling you.
It was insane. It was
Rondo, the thirst quencher.
It has electrolytes. Yeah.
What plants crib?
And the second one, when you mentioned go-kart tracks, and you were talking about like a fun park type of situation. Back in the day, Loki actually played at Funtown. That little stage that's at Funtown, when you're walking around. It actually was a blast. Kids loved it. We kind of did it pseudo acoustic. We didn't play totally stripped down, but
full tilt.
We did kind of a half speed version of what we would normally do, and we people loved it. We sold so much merch; it was insane. It was such a fun show. Anyways,
that's cool.
Yeah. I like playing non-traditional places. You guys were talking about back in the day playing generator parties.
Yeah, a pit party is what we used to call them. Yeah.
It reminded me of the parallel between because I've looked a lot into the kind of the Palm Desert scene, the Stoner Rock scene that kind of came out of there, and that's all that's what they were doing, was playing desert generator parties. So it's kind of a parallel to Northern Maine, where you're fuck it, set up a generator, let's play a show,
Yeah,
but
we were just doing it in the woods instead. Get busted by the game wardens because people would light tires on fire. Sorry.
I tell you what doesn't happen when you're playing at Port City Music Halls. You don't have some guy approaching you with a head full of hallucinogenic drugs telling you that he'll pay you $100 for every Danzig song you'll play, because that happened in Northern Maine. And I believe he paid out. We made that night.
I believe so. I want to say we played Dirty Black Summer at least twice, though, and we kind of ripped him off, but whatever.
Nice.
He didn't notice for some reason.
So anyway, he got his wish.
So Port City was amazing, and we had no idea. We released our Fiction EP the prior summer, and then that brought us into January, and then we played the Port City gig, and it was amazing. And we had 3 shows lined up after that. Sean, I think we were going to play with Devils at Gino's in March. I'm pretty sure.
I think so. Yeah.
And,
And I think the Twin Grizzlies' original plan for their CD release, we were supposed to be on that too.
Yeah.
So we were doing ours in January, and then I want to say they were originally shooting for like a March, April, May or something like that. It was somewhere right around it was around the time they actually released it. I think they just ended up doing kind of similar to what we did, unfortunately.
Nice.
So yeah, that brought us into this wonderful pandemic, like we talked about. And yeah, like Brandon said, we really didn't play. Work got ridiculous. I don't want to dwell on it, but every single member of the band lost a family member, if not multiple family members. And shit was hard.
Yeah, it was not a good time.
Dude, well, so incredibly sorry to hear that, guys. Honestly, I didn't know that. Wow. Well, yeah, very sorry to hear all that.
Yeah, I mean, 2020 and 2021 have been real kicks to the nuts for everybody. So,
Oh yes.
our condolences to you guys and your families and stuff like that. That's fucking terrible.
It's terrible.
Yeah, there ain't much to say. There's no, super happy, positive spin you can put on it, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And Brandon's become such an amazing friend, and just he had to travel a lot for work. I spent a lot of time worrying about you guys. Not to get all sentimental, but you know what I mean. It was rough.
So I want to talk about the album a little bit. So, you guys released Stonework very fittingly on 420, which, made a lot of sense. However, obviously the challenges with, releasing the album during the pandemic, it's been, kind of impossible to go out there and support it and to play those songs. So I just kind of thought it would be cool to ask you guys a little bit about the recording process for that, how that went for you guys, and then maybe what song you're psyched to play when you get to play that first show back. Maybe it's all of it. Who knows?
We actually recorded Stonework on November 9th, the weekend of November 9th and 10th, which actually, fun fact, November 9th, 1989 was the date that the Berlin Wall came down. So we recorded Stonework on the 30th anniversary of the Berlin Wall coming down. I don't know. Fun fact. But yeah, and
I did not know that.
Yeah, and we did it the same way we did Fiction. We used the same people. We used Andy Porta from Black Cat Sounds, who Brandon had recorded with his other band, This World Has Bees. And we enjoyed working with Andy so much. To talk about our history and all those years of doing bands, that was actually my first time going into a legit studio and doing something with a producer.
So, Craig, that's what I wanted to mention. I think one of the most important parts about that is you in particular were really apprehensive about going to a studio.
I was as well.
And,
Craig and I have not had good recording experiences in the past.
You guys have,
yeah.
So
We also
it did not go
did
very
it
well.
differently.
So
we didn't do one instrument at a time. We kind of went a traditional approach because, I don't know, I'm not used to being in a studio, so we basically just played live for both of them. So we put all of us in one room, put my bass cab in the control, Craig's amp up and upstairs, and kind of isolated them. And we recorded the drums, bass, and a scratch guitar track all at the same time live, and that's basically what we used. And then Craig overdubbed guitars over top of that. We used the scratch some, and then we added extra soundscape noise and tied everything together. But we pretty much just record live, kind of
nice.
Pedals and all, same way we play, when we do a show, pretty much.
So I think that's killer. I think your music in particular, the soundscapes, the big grandiose kind of swells and kind of long guitar passages. Really, it lends itself to that really well. I think where if it was like technical heavy metal, it would be it's harder to like pull that all off live and have it all sound so really tight. But like I feel like the type of music you guys have really lends itself well to that. Just get in a room, play it, and it's got to be natural. It's got to be kind of not fucked with too badly.
Yeah.
I mean, Seth, you're right. It's big riffs, big drums. You just try to make it feel. You try to make it feel big and overwhelming as much as possible. And like I said before at the beginning of all this, our writing process, it does change over time. The song structures do change over time, or parts will.
Yeah.
But for the most part, we play a song 2 or 3 times and have a basic outline, figure out some transitions or some fills, throw in potentially a solo section if that's the type of the song, and then otherwise just tweak individual parts very slowly over time.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, for example, Paragon is the one that I was referring to that is, which you guys are familiar with, you did the review on, but that's the one that we used to like, okay, we have this cool section for a solo, let's just do this, and then we'll fill however long, and then when I feel like I can't do any more, Craig will signal to end it. And that's kind of how that song progressed into what it actually is, because it kept constantly changing. Like I never did the same thing on bass for like a long time trying to figure that out. So so a lot of that stuff happens live, but it happens in the like both. I mean, there's stuff on the album that I don't even normally do live that I was like, oh, that was a happy accident, that's cool, and then I start doing it live after. So
you guys aren't familiar with Fort Andros in Brunswick, that's where the studio is located. It's called Main Music Mill. Andy Porta is one of the producers and engineers there. He's in a really great post-rock band called West Meets West, and I'd highly recommend checking it out.
Nice.
He has great accolades for his drumming, and like the band as a whole, they're fairly popular in that scene. But it's owned by a gentleman named Jeb, and really high old mill 12-foot ceilings. Actually, both bands have done something similar to putting a microphone at the end of one of the long hallways, and then putting a cab at the end for some natural reverb or echo. And Andy mixes all that in, and it sounds like you're using a pedal or a sound space or a board, and you're not at all. But cool. Andy's really fantastic, so even though we do record everything live as 1 or 2 takes, he's really good that where if I mess up a drum fill or hit a microphone or hit something, he's able to punch me in. And
there's definitely overdubbing there. And like Dugout, I did all direct. We didn't play that. Like Dugout's just all bass and soundscapes and some ambient drums that which was actually Andy's idea, I think, for the drums and stuff. And then him and Brandon did that. But like that was just a piece that I had that we wanted to use as an interlude that I had like maybe 2 minutes, and just all like these 3 layered bass parts. And then I just said, Andy, make it cool. Swell in with this and then like fade it out. And like he stretched it out and did whatever he did to it, and it's cool.
Sounds very cool.
He's really good. Yeah.
Yeah, so like that room I think is very important. It's a really cool space. It sounds good in there. It was a good vibe. And Andy was incredible to work with. Brandon said that I was apprehensive about going into the studio and using a producer. Thinking back, I think it was just financially. I was just like, can we afford to do this?
That too.
But I can say like, it's worth it to go in the studio and do it proper. Also, both releases we did in a weekend, which you guys did know. That's like we did everything. That's a lot of tracking. For Stonework, I think I did a half-day overdubs. But other than that, Fiction was all done in a weekend. Stonework was all done in a weekend. We used the same mastering. We used Steve Austin from Today Is the Day. If you don't know who that guy is, look him up. He's done it all, and he was really awesome to work with. Actually, before everything shut down, Today's the Day was the last show I saw before COVID. Steve started his tour at Gino's, and I think he made it all the way to Nashville and came back early because everything shut down. But yeah, when we played Port City in January, I think we were still mixing Stonework. But so we had, we were looking at doing a CD release in probably the spring, early summer.
Yeah. We spend quite a bit of time with the mixing portion of it because like we did record it all in 2 days, but we probably spent like 2 months or more, maybe, like mixing and shortening and saying use this soundscape distortion that we made here and there and Andy moving stuff around. So like there's a lot that goes into it after, I guess, because we do all those added extras to kind of throw in to kind of like tie everything together and whatnot.
And I really love all the stuff that you guys put in for sort of extra soundscapey kind of sampling or extra layers. It really feels like cohesive. You can listen to it beginning to end, and it has this, sort of flow to it. That's hard to describe, but very well done. I love the record. I've listened to it a bunch of times since then, and obviously, Sean and I last year, it was actually almost a year ago. Well, it was a year ago when we.
Yeah, pretty much. It was right after it came out, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I got to tell you guys, listening to that, I've never heard other musicians dissect my music that way, or our music. It was really cool to hear you guys' take on it. It was very thorough and very thoughtful, and I really appreciate you guys doing that review. It was very cool.
Man. Absolutely.
Yeah, I was trying to look it up. I couldn't find it because my little Anchor app wasn't cooperating. It was actually April 24th that we did that review.
That seemed to be a standout track for Stonework. You guys chose Paragon. Coincidentally, the Face Melter chose that track to play first too when he got his hands on the album. And I really enjoyed your guys' interview with him. He's been an awesome supporter of the band. And after you guys did the review, he played tracks from Stonework and played a set of Stoner Rock, which all three of us sat and listened to, and it was just amazing because we don't really know Sean that well, but some of the tracks he picked were exactly what some of my influences were from the genre. So
he's very good at picking that stuff out. Like when we interviewed him, he was talking about he tried his damnedest to make sure that the band he was featuring for like his power hour or whatever he was calling it at the time would coincide with some local bands that had a very similar feel. And I mean, you can go back and look at some of them, and it's like dead on money. Like this band goes with this band, so you have to put them together, and it worked great. And Sean's a great guy. We love him to death, and it was super exciting to be able to sit down and talk to him because, like we said in the episode, he's like rock royalty to us, man. Like growing up in Maine, listening to CYY, that shit was awesome. And then he's like, "Oh, guys,
real cool to us too."
Yeah.
Real cool.
Well, but we don't know him that Brandon being from Texas and us being from northern Maine, we didn't grow up with him that way. But getting to know him, and I mean, his resume speaks for itself. That guy's done it all. He came out and interviewed us at Flask, small hole in the wall. I was blown away with. Blown away with how professional he was. He was very professional, and like the questions he asked, he did his homework, knew stuff about us, and like, hey, we had only been playing shows for less than a year at that point, maybe a little over a year, I'm not sure, but yeah. And then, dude, he had the balls to ask Maynard about Tool when you don't ask Maynard about Tool.
That's so funny, and his response too is totally. I mean, I've seen him do it to other interviewers and stuff, but I'm glad he did because it's like he said, he speaks for the fans, so.
Yeah. Well, and he's a fan himself. There are some people I've met in my life that have been in the radio business, but they're just doing it because they had the voice and they had clout, and he's doing it because he loves music. I mean, him telling the story about shipping all of his CDs back, like a box a week, like that's dedication to something that honestly you could probably put all of that on a few external hard drives, and you don't have to worry about boxes. You've got a backpack with 3 external hard drives in it, and you've got, 200,000 songs on it. He spent, a year sending a box back so he could have his physical copies of his music. So, that's dedication, and that's a fan. That's somebody who loves music, period. They're not in it for the paycheck. They're in it for the music.
Absolutely.
Just one last little piece on the recording process. I think that's important that I don't think we discussed is that we don't play to a click. And I found it really cool when I listened to you guys interview Object, and we talked about Object earlier. Love that band, but when they said they didn't play to a click, my mind was blown because those recordings are so incredible. I don't know, I just assumed, but it was refreshing. I was like, oh yeah, we do it the same way. Nothing wrong with the click. I've recorded to a click before, but like Brandon said, like we're just such a live band and we just kind of feel, and I think like when you said that the album flows, I think that is a part of it too. It's not just the interludes. And I think part of your question was, what are we looking forward to playing off Stonework live? Well, the answer is we were playing it out live. It seems kind of like foreign to me. I've never really been in that position where I put out an album, no one's heard it, and then so usually we work, like Matt was saying, sometimes we work the stuff out live. There's parts from Fiction that weren't in there before until we started playing them live, and then that's how the song ended up to be. So we've played those songs. I'd love to play them again. I think like you guys reviewed Paragon. That's a favorite. I love playing that tune. Pretty excited about Shitrograde. I think that's
Yeah, I really like that song. Kick Out's a fun song. It's kind of tough to play sometimes, but Kick Out was really fun at the wrestling show because I know Craig likes to kind of keep some stuff a little mysterious, but that song is obviously about wrestling, and it's just a bunch of Ric Flair quotes, and it's fucking awesome.
Awesome. Well, I mean, I'm excited to see you guys play live, and especially since things are slowly turning around. It looks like everything's kind of calming down and people have their Fauci ouchies all set up and, rocking and rolling. So that's pretty cool.
I'm sorry, what? I've never heard that. That's so good.
I heard it from a friend, a Fauci ouchie,
Fauci ouchie.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of that. That's great.
That's a good one.
Yeah, I'm cool with that, yeah.
Hey, how's it going, everybody? This is Shell from the band Stillborn Condition, and you are listening to the TrawlCast.
You guys, especially Craig, are always posting, hilarious, memes, videos, pictures, and it seems like you guys really embrace the kind of like bizarre, weird, fun, humor aspect of things with the band. So I thought it would be kind of cool to ask, like, where does that come from for you guys? Like, are you a fan of comedy or kind of what place does comedy have like within the band?
Well, we're serious AF, obviously. We did a little bit of that when we were doing shows. It was just kind of like, what is being a band in modern times, like this social media presence and whatever that was. But I think we really amped it up last year, just like you guys did this podcast, which is amazing. You got to think outside the box. We can't do shows. What are we going to do? So, especially with the promotion of Stonework, I guess I'm just a fucking weirdo. But like, I just put it out there. Like we are, we don't know what the hell's happening next. We're putting out this album in unprecedented times. No way to promote it. Let's get fucking weird. And
that's awesome.
And we did. I just had fun with it. And then a lot of it is it's cool to get feedback about it because a lot of it's just inside jokes. A lot of it was just to make Matt laugh.
It's mostly an entertaining me. That's like what 90% of it is.
I particularly like the bath video where you're like, oh, sorry, I didn't mean to be underdressed here. Just like playing it off like the camera was in and you didn't know it was there. Oh, it's fucking hilarious.
So I do want to put more into Craig and Matt's point. I'm in the band and I have no idea half of what they post.
Yeah. That's like some of the stuff that Craig has posted is literally stuff that only I would understand.
Matt had to explain to me today about like a particular joke that was like 7 stories long on Instagram that I had no fucking idea what he was talking about.
Yeah, I like Beer Baseball. That was a good one. That was
Big
good.
Hurt. He's returning. Yeah, it's good. Yeah.
So many good videos and just like you guys approach. I think it's awesome. I I've thought a lot about that too, because like Trawl likes to have fun. We haven't done a whole lot of like, we've done some memes and humorous posts and things, but like I feel like
the disc one, you guys jumped on that one quick, and like that one was cool because
the
Westbrook disc, yeah.
You guys jumped on that one quick, and I was like, oh dang, they got it.
Yeah,
like that. Like,
and we got in the. I think we were one of the first groups or first anybody that did anything with Baby Yoda messing with the stereo, because that was like the episode released, and then like, geez, I want to say Saturday, Seth had that up on our YouTube page, and I'm like, what the hell is this? It's like it's Baby Yoda cranking, a song about a shark, and I was just like, that's fantastic.
Covered in Bees has a monopoly on crockpot memes.
Oh yes.
Yes. Traditional crockpot meme from the Beast Boys. Yeah.
They did it like so much that it was like every day for like a solid couple of months almost.
Oh yeah.
Just with the crockpot memes, and you're like, not again. Just like literally
like multiple a day. It was awesome.
Like somebody has to be full time making crockpot memes.
Yeah. Also, I got excited about a crockpot though when I saw those, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, I now own 90 crockpots, so thanks.
Yeah.
Nice.
But of course, comedy is huge, and especially comedy and music. I'm a big fan of Spinal Tap. Obviously, Metalocalypse, all that stuff. Tenacious D, Flight of the Conchords. I think
Sorry, Craig, I have to butt in. So that being said, when we first were a band, we had another singer, and I think we may have mentioned this on other podcasts. But Craig finally took up the mic after not wanting to do it for so long because we wanted to be a 4-piece with an actual vocalist, and then. Sometimes Craig would be like, I feel like sometimes it's just kind of joke, like I'm like making fun of somebody. Like it's, you know what I mean? Like he was like, I never thought I'd be a vocalist in a band. It feels like a meme sometimes. So I guess even from like the uninterpretation of comedy, that's similar to where we kind of led because it was unintentional all along, but it ends up working out well for being a 3-piece.
I think it works really well for you guys, and I don't know. To me too, being a small, obscure band, like I'm speaking about Trawl, like just in our own. I'm not saying you guys are obscure. Like we all kind of being
we're all
small band from Maine. There's almost
that was one of those kind of backpedals there, Seth. You're like, no, not the
you're very, very kind, Seth, but you are also 100% correct. We are.
Like there's almost a little bit of power in humor to just being able to not take yourself too seriously and to be able to say, hey, like, I don't care how many people are listening or care about this thing, but we're going to have a fucking blast with it and we're going to have fun. Yeah. And if people want to get on board and like have fun with us, we want to welcome all those people. But if they don't, like, we're just going to have a blast with our friends and just like, have fun with this. So I think that's the cool part about it.
All our actual we definitely don't take ourselves too seriously. I mean, the songs themselves aren't always. I mean, like we have songs that are more about us or personal to us, but we also have songs that are just about wrestling or some random. There's definitely humor all through there. And Craig's always kind of wanted people to kind of figure out what the songs are about because they're not really like a lot of them aren't really about specific topics. They're more of like a plot played out and being kind of narrated in a way, I guess. I don't know. Is that the way you describe it, Craig?
Some of the music that I like, I've eventually found out what it's really about, and I was like, well, I always thought it was about this, so leave it up to the listener's interpretation, I guess. I want to leave it up to that. Some people have figured out what some of the stuff is about. Some people, have asked me, and I either decide to share that or not, and then sometimes apparently I just sit in my bathtub and take my shirt off and make videos. So, and I can tell you, if you want to take it to the next stratosphere, sex sells. You take the shirt off and sell them discs.
That seems completely reasonable. Yeah.
Yeah.
You hit top 5 at Bull Moose, take shirt off.
Yeah. Show them middies off, baby.
Hey, this is Kevin from Drivetrain, and you are in the deep end of the pool with TrawlCast.
Let's get on a little bit more of a serious note. I got this week's what the fuck question, and I think this fits along with you guys pretty well. And Seth, again, you don't know what it is, but I'm gonna expect an answer from you.
Okay.
So this week's what the fuck question is: what's the best cheese and why?
Oh, damn.
Well,
Dude,
I'll take this right off because I already have an answer.
No. Miss me with that American. If anybody says American, you're all dead.
Oh, I was gonna say. No, it's Munster. It's absolutely Munster because it melts the best and it's not overly sharp and it mixes well with other cheese without overpowering them. So it's one of the best ones to mix in with other stuff, and it's awesome on a grilled cheese. So Munster all the way.
Okay.
And that's probably not a common choice.
Damn, that's a solid answer. Hard to argue with.
I absolutely love cheese. Unfortunately, I get migraines, so I try to stay away from the really, really good stuff. But like, I do dabble once in a while. But my girlfriend actually last year, she said she just tried a bunch of cheeses. She claims it's the New York sharp cheddar. She says that's the best. But I don't know. You go Munster.
I'm gonna say anything smoked. It's Gouda, cheddar, white, like Pineland Farms makes some absolutely incredible smoked sharp cheddar.
Yeah.
10 out of 10 recommend.
Nice.
Okay.
Good answer, too. And they make smoked Munster, so
Let's see. There you go.
Yeah.
So I love sharp cheddar. Like the sharper the better. Like the Hunter's sharp or the super sharp. Like for whatever reason, I've just always loved sharp cheddar. So I think that's got to be it for me.
Yeah.
Cheese
is a weird topic for me because like I had a bunch of gastrointestinal issues and I had to cut dairy completely. I could not eat any of it for like 6-7 years, and it sucked. And then I kind of gradually put it back into my diet when that started going down, and now I can eat it. But like the happiness that came from the first grilled cheese that I was able to make, and like toasted brioche and like Munster and American, like 3 cheeses, a little tiny bit of mayo, tiny bit of little garlic paste mixed in the mayo.
Okay.
Dude, that was after 6 years. It was very, very worth any pain that came from it afterwards.
Right. Well, there you go.
I was gonna say I'm the oldest one in this conversation, but I eat string cheese like every day, like a little kid.
There's nothing wrong with that, dude. String cheese is quick and easy, you know?
Ain't nothing wrong with that.
My wife and I do a lot of charcuterie boards. Like we either host or do them. Like that's a very common thing in my house. So we're always trying different cheeses, and either really high quality deli meats from someplace like Bow Street, or like in Freeport or something.
Nice.
Or like even deli meats at Hannaford that are very expensive because I live near Hannaford. We get to try a lot of different meats and cheeses, so it's on a rotating platter.
But the correct answer is anything but blue cheese. Can't stand it. I think it's awful.
No.
You're wrong. You're wrong.
A black
You're
and blue
absolutely wrong.
something to behold.
Blue cheese is good, man.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it depends on what I'm eating. Like a black and blue burger.
Yeah.
You can't go wrong with that. A nice, mid-rare burger, blue cheese. You got Swiss mushrooms. That's good.
I go with that.
I also make. I'm a big fan of Gordon Ramsay, so I have a bunch of his cookbooks, and one of his recipes that I make on the regular is a mac and cheese made with blue cheese. It also has like sautéed shallots and mushrooms, and yeah, I get real bougie with that. So
Nice.
That sounds good.
Speaking of Ramsey, me and Matt are potato heads, and Ramsey turned me on to the ricer for your mashed potatoes, the Master Chef mashed potatoes. I started doing the ricer, and that really brought my mashed potato game up significantly.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm a big. I have a weak spot for cooking shows. So I binge a lot of Chopped and Food Network. It's either that, Star Trek, or Big Bang Theory. And then I just sit there and play music. But
we'll sit here and eat dinner and watch like The F Word or Hell's Kitchen, and my youngest son is we call him the little Ramsey, because he'll come out and be like, "It's not enough salt in this," and he dissects everything. It's like, man, you don't even know what you're talking about. This has plenty of salt in it. It's fine. Like, and then he walks away, and I'm like, yeah, it might need a little more salt. Shit.
This risotto.
Greg and I used to watch Kitchen Nightmares all the time.
Yes, I love that.
Yep.
show.
Tough crowd, man.
Yeah.
The youngest.
When you have an 8-year-old who's like, dissecting your cooking technique, and luckily though he's pretty happy with what I do. Usually when I cook, everyone's just shuts up and eat, and they're like, it's great, it's perfect.
Nice.
But yeah, I mean, for me, it kind of varies based on what I'm going to eat. I will say I agree with the Munster. It's probably one of the easiest cheeses to kind of move in and out of dishes.
Work. Exactly.
Yeah.
You can pretty much use it as a substitute in anything, and it's not gonna like overpower, change your flavors, or take away from stuff. Plus, it actually just like melts really good. It mixes in, and it still has like a decent mild flavor of its own. But it's,
if you get it in like a turkey sandwich, it's perfect. You don't need a lot of craziness. Like turkey, Munster, some tomatoes, onions, and lettuce, and a little bit of mayo. It's perfect.
Okay, so like, here's the deal: the second this ends, I'm making a sandwich.
I would say today I made I got a new grill, and I cooked bacon cheddar stuffed burgers and hot dogs, and I used a hickory smoke or a hickory wood to smoke some of it. So I went fancy with my lunch today with all the kids and the lady at the house. So
nice.
I'm pretty well full.
I live in an apartment building, so you try smoking something in a Weber on a deck out front of, like, all the smoke goes up in my upstairs neighbor's window, and then I like that. I can't grill no more.
You need to get somebody who likes barbecue up above you, and then you're all set, man.
I know.
They'll come down and be like,
but the last few, not so much.
Yeah, it happens. All right, so that was the what the fuck question. So we want to hear what our listeners are thinking. What's your favorite cheese? And tell us why. And we'd love to hear from you.
It's not easy being cheesy.
Exactly.
This is Ian from Division North, and you're tuned in to Good Cop, Bad Cop on TrawlCast.
Mirror to mirror, the one who looks at you looks through the disguise.
Is there any plans that you guys have in the works, or for 2021 or beyond, or just maybe if you guys don't have anything planned, maybe some like aspirations of things that you'd like to do in the future?
Well, yeah, I think we're going to be on the TrawlCast. Biddy, on the TrawlCast, yeah. Biddy.
Nice. New theme song right there.
Yeah,
you're gonna get sued. You don't have the rights to that shit.
Oh, the NCAA takedown.
We're putting this out on Anchor. They're owned by Spotify. We can work some magic there.
Oh yeah,
it's considered parody. We're covered.
Exactly.
So we took a long ass break, and me and Matt wrote some stuff that we're excited. We jammed on it today, so we're hoping to bring some new tunes into the 2021. We do have a show booked this summer. It hasn't officially been announced yet, so we're going to keep that under wraps. But I guess here's our plug. Like, follow us on the socials. Like, we're on the Facebook or on the Instagram. I prefer the IG myself. But we'll announce when that happens, and we're excited. We're playing a venue that we've never played before, town we've never played before, with a band that's going to blow your guys' mind. Maybe you've heard about them. I'm not going to say who it is. Save it for the announcement, but they're another stoner band, and this is going to be a lot of fun.
It's in Fort Kent.
Yeah.
Fucking north, bud.
Not that far north, a little bit north.
Yeah.
Nice.
Well, hopefully we'll get some more stuff lined up. Or if anybody's got a spot, reach out and let us know. We're practicing and getting ready to go.
Absolutely, and we're excited about the new tunes. Like, as you know, it's all about the riff with us. And I think it's safe to say, correct me if I'm wrong, guys, the new tunes are a little more rock, a little less metal. Not that I'm doing any sing stuff. It's still the same guttural nonsense, but we're gonna bring the rock. Like one of the songs I think is gonna be more like Nova than what was on Stonework. And then one of the other songs I think is gonna be like a stoned out Roadhouse Blues.
Cool.
It's gonna get super heavy. So like, I don't know. Or you know, maybe we'll just go total metal and just chug out and do breakdowns. Who knows?
Yeah. But the humor's still definitely there with the three newer ones that I can think of. The humor is definitely still there. If I'm remembering the topics correct. Although one of them, actually the newer one, GLS, I think is the working title. Is that the working title of that one?
GLS. Yep.
Yeah. That's an interesting topic.
We also have El Jefe, which we all. We three know what that refers to. So
yeah.
We might have wrote a song about a puppy dog. I don't know.
El Jefe, Django Gonzalez. Who is that?
Django Gonzalez.
I'm excited about practicing today. I got to wear the tone slippers. You guys ever heard? You know what tone slippers are?
No.
So, you know, when you're lucky enough to practice at one of the band members' humble abode, you know, don't be a fucking douchebag. Take your shoes off at the door. But, you know, when you're stomping on pedals, you need to wear tone slippers. Mine are well broken in and brown and amazing. So I got to wear the tone slippers today. Very important.
Good tone. Good tone.
Yeah, it's good tone. You wear slippers.
Kick your shoes off at the
unfortunately, so it's a little sloppy today, but yeah.
Kick your shoes off at the door on your tone slippers.
I like it. Sean, we need to start wearing slippers at practice.
Dude, I every once in a while when I'm wearing flip-flops to the jam room, I just take my shoes off and it's not the same. So I think the Thems That Wait patent pending tone slippers will be a nice addition to the collection.
Yeah. Thank you guys so much for doing this. Thank you guys so much for coming on. It's a real honor to have you guys on.
Yeah, I hope some of that was usable.
Absolutely. No.
Oh, it definitely will be. Like I said, Seth's got auto-tune and all that stuff to make us sound right, you know.
Yeah, thank you guys so much.
I'm going to put Volcano auto-tune on all of this, and I'm going to set the whole thing to a quick train.
Yeah, there we go. Turn this podcast into a Kanye song.
So this is Matt Heath. I hope you enjoyed this episode of the TrawlCast. You can catch my boys Seth and Sean on a regular weekly basis when they can put these up. And don't forget, once this whole plague is over and we're all back out playing shows and doing things and not taking things for granted, just remember to support local and just be excellent to each other.
Thank you guys for tuning into TrawlCast this week. If you like what you hear, we are available on Anchor, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and many, many more. So hit that subscribe button. As soon as a new episode drops, it will be there, ready, and waiting for you to hit play. We're also on YouTube. All you gotta do is go to youtube.com/TrawlPortlandME. We post music, videos, even the podcast there. Again, that's youtube.com/TrawlPortlandME. Want to find us on your favorite social media site? All you have to do is search for @TrawlBand. We're on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Again, that's @TrawlBand. Would you like to send us a voice message? Maybe hear your voice on the podcast? All you gotta do is go to anchor.fm/TrawlCast. Have fun with it. We want to hear from you. Maybe you'll even get to hear your question or voice on the podcast. Want to get yourself a sweet sticker pack from Trawl and TrawlCast? All you gotta do is cast a line to us at trawlband@gmail.com. Make sure to include your name and mailing address and a question you'd like to hear us answer. That way, we can send you some sweet Trawl swag. For more information about Trawl and all things Trawl related, all you gotta do is go to www.trawlband.com. It's the website. We post everything there. Again, thank you so much for listening to this week's episode of TrawlCast. We hope you enjoyed it. My name's Sean Matthews.
I'm Seth McClellan.
And this has been TrawlCast. We will see you next time.